What's up? I'm Steve Artabello. I'm with Anthony Harris and Theo Giordano. We are Toronto on Tilt. You can find us at our website, torontoontilt.com. You can find us at our Twitter, at Toronto on Tilt. Of course, you can find YouTube, where we're live right now, Toronto on Tilt. You can find us on Twitch, where we're also live, Toronto on Tilt. There's a theme here. And then you can find the audio of this podcast anywhere that you listen to podcasts. That's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. We have a lot to talk about. There's a ton of Jays news and baseball news. The Leafs are on the winningest month of their history.
They have not lost since we started this show.
No, and like they look really good. Like the goaltending's so good, and Campbell's good, and Wall's good. Mrazek's coming back, and we'll talk about that. And then Andrew Clark with an E will be back. Well, I'll probably still say with a C because he'll have to change it.
NBA insider.
Our NBA, well,
Raptor.
Yeah, basically our Raptors insider.
We should bring him on for hockey talk and not tell him that we're just
we should just bring him in for the whole podcast and go baseball, hockey, just see what Andrew says. But yeah, we're bringing him in. We're going to talk Raptors. That Boston loss was ugly, considering Boston looked terrible. Boucher in the doghouse, a whole lot of things. But yeah, we'll start off with baseball. We did the Gossman video. Those who are listening to the podcast, if you go to our YouTube, we did a live video. It's up there now. It's posted. Reacting to the signing, which we will talk about. So I guess first we'll talk about the guys departing. So Semien and Ray both gone. Semien, we knew when Gausman signed that he was gone. And then Ray, we learned yesterday that he went to the Mariners. So Semien signed a 7-year, $175 million deal with the Texas Rangers, who then signed Corey Seager to 10 years, $325 million, who's hurt all the time. Like, he's really good and he's 27, but like he's hurt all the time. And I mean, the rest of their team sucks. I don't know what else they have.
I like.
They got John Gray now.
I like the
Cole Calhoun.
The Semien one makes a lot of sense just because of his age, but knowing they had no money committed to their roster at all.
No.
So they knew going in, like, we're just going to spend like crazy, and that's what they did.
I also have a question that, do you think the San Francisco Giants, what they did last year is convincing these teams who have no salary commitments just to say, you know what, maybe we can get lucky this year? Because there's no reason to think Texas before this offseason thought that they should have been good. But now that they have the money, why not just commit a bunch of money to good players and see what happens?
Well,
also with maybe playoff expansion.
Well, that's the thing. With the looming work stoppage and the negotiations, a lot of things could be changing. There could be expanded playoffs. It sounds like there's going to be a universal DH because apparently, according to John Heyman, a ton of National League teams are heavily interested in Nelson Cruz, and he hasn't played a position. Well, okay, sorry. When they traded to the Rays, he hadn't played a position in years. Then he got traded to the Rays, and he played first base, which he had never done ever because the Rays are the Rays, and the Rays are going to Ray. But yeah, so Semien signed that insane deal, and God bless him. He took all of the monies. He got a massive bag. We talked about this right off the hop, that he was going to be too expensive, that he was the best second baseman in baseball, and he got paid like it. And honestly, the season he had, I don't begrudge him in any way, shape, or form. I hope he gets standing O when he comes back. It's unfortunate that he plays for Texas and the history with the Rangers and the fact that, the Rangers suck, so it's going to suck to suck. But hey, gotta love Marcus Semien, and congratulations on the huge bag. The interesting one, though, is Robbie Ray. So they signed Gossman, 5 years, 110. Robbie Ray gets 5 years, 115. He gets an opt-out after the third season, I believe. Second year. He gets an opt-out after the second year. The interesting thing is it sounds like Ray and his people were basically bluffing the Jays, and they maybe wanted to talk to more people, and they kind of wanted them to wait. And instead of waiting, the Jays just turn around and sign Kevin Gossman, who is willing to do the deal. I'm biased. And you can, if anyone thinks that I'm just saying this because Gossman, the Jays signed him, you can go look at any of the there's this history goes back maybe months at this point. I think the season was still going potentially when I brought up Kevin Gossman, but I've wanted them to sign Kevin Gossman forever.
Anytime the Jays had a couple losses in a row and it was off-season time, that's when Steve did talk about a lot.
So that's always been my preferred guy. And it's not that I don't love Robbie Ray. He won the Cy Young for a reason. I wanted Robbie Ray back. But the fact that was the option, I have no problem with that. That you got one of the two. You didn't get left with neither of them. And the fact that it's not that it's cheaper, because that $5 million is very negligible over the length of the deal. Right? It's the difference between $22 and $23 million a season. It's really...
It's the draft pick, too.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to mention it's the draft pick, and it's the fact you don't have the opt-out.
Yeah.
That you're locked into Kevin Gossman for those five, that he is going to be there. And if Robbie Ray keeps doing what he's doing and goes to Seattle, where there's going to be a lot more home run suppression and it's not going to be the same as pitching in the AL East, there's a chance he's better. So what happens if the Mariners aren't good and Robbie Ray is spectacular and can opt out again?
Even if they are good.
Yeah, he's going to opt out for sure.
He's going to opt out no matter what.
Unless he just goes back to being bad.
Yeah,
he's definitely opting out.
Exactly. So if the fact that you have Kevin Gossman 4 or 5 years, I think is actually huge. I think that's massive. Add on the fact that Kevin Gossman was qualified last year by the Giants, so they couldn't qualify him this year. So the Jays didn't give up a pick to sign him, and got a pick for Semien, and then got a pick for Robbie Ray. So it really worked out to me because I wanted Gossman, because I was biased, and that's who I thought made them I wanted him the most. I honestly didn't. I thought he was going to be the most expensive, and they weren't going to be able to afford him.
Yeah, and as far as committing to for the years down the road, and he's going to be 35 at the end of this deal.
Yeah.
We're seeing guys I know Scherzer is an exception to the rule, but
yeah,
it's
Scherzer's a first ballot Hall of Fame. Scherzer's a different human.
Yeah, he's not a
last year.
Yeah, but it's not 30. He's not. He shouldn't fall off a cliff, is what I'm trying to say. This isn't we're paying to his 40 season, and it should be fine for the duration of this. And if he's pitching the way he's been pitching the last 2 years, very cost affordable and very good deal. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm happy with what you mentioned with the Ray, with the opt out. I don't see him there after 2 years if he's doing this, and I think we're going to be happy in 2 years looking back and saying, oh, we got Gossman locked in and Barrios locked in, and hopefully another ring. That's what
that'd be great. Yeah. Yeah. No, I just want to mention before we move on again, just the 1 year. Oh God, Christ, I can't remember who said it. I heard it today. I was listening to it today. That's the Blue Jays' best 1 year signings, and they'd had 2 of them since Winfield in 92. I was 1 year old when that happened. I am 30. Think about that. It's been 29 years, and not only is he was I know Winfield they won a championship, but you can argue that just one of Semien or Ray was a better signing for one season than he was even in that championship season, and they did both of them at once. And it's funny that we were right. We're both these guys, if this happens, if this works out, neither of them are going to be affordable, and it turns out they weren't. But then you got a draft pick for both and got Kevin Gossman, which is amazing. But then they also signed Yimi Garcia. Well, I guess one more thing for the people that didn't see the original live we did before, or if you're listening to the podcast and didn't see that and you're hearing it for the first time. Just a big reason why I'm so high on Kevin Gossman is he's been good for the lockout shortened season. He revamped himself in San Francisco and was spectacular, and then was even better last year. Pitched 192 innings. He could have been a Cy Young finalist. I think he was a Cy Young finalist in the National League. He was spectacular. A lot like Robbie Ray, he's got 2 main pitches. He's got a fastball and a splitter. He throws a changeup and a slider minimally, but he does have them. There's also a bunch of good stuff I heard that actually we didn't mention in the live because I've heard it since the deal has happened. he does TV. He's a former pitcher, does TV for the Giants. They were talking about actually Kevin Gossman and Logan Webb, and how a lot of people in the Giants organization kind of credit Gossman with taking Logan Webb under his wing, and why Logan Webb turned into the pitcher he was. And if you don't know, Logan Webb was phenomenal for the Giants this season. And they credit Kevin Gossman with kind of helping him along. And then you saw Alex Wood tweeting that he's one of the greatest human beings he's ever met, and congratulations, and good things do happen to good people. And like when you start seeing this from guys he played with, it's pretty awesome. You know what I mean? Like it means you're getting a good teammate, a good clubhouse guy. And with the pitchers here, I completely forgot that Berrios just started throwing a splitter with the Jays. Yeah. And Kevin Gossman threw the most splitters in baseball last year, and it was his most effective pitch. So that's interesting. And Alek Manoah throws kind of a hard changeup. Wouldn't it be interesting if maybe he learned something? I don't know. This would be fun.
I have some breaking news that's not big, but some new. Valera has been released. I don't know if you guys saw that. All this stuff's coming in right now.
No.
It's because it's the non-tender deadline. They'll probably get him on a minor league deal.
Gary's still a Yankee. All this stuff's just popping.
I'm actually surprised Gary Sanchez didn't get non-tendered, to be fully honest with you. I mean, the way catchers are, he was offensively good enough with the power last year and the on base, even though he didn't hit for a high average. But the fact that he can't play defense is a problem.
What would their alternative be, though, if they did that?
Kyle Higashioka, who apparently only
hits Blue
Jays. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they need 2 catchers.
Well, yes, they'll find another one because they're the Yankees. Well, actually, no, they're cheap. The Yankees apparently at shortstop, not only got outbid by the Texas Rangers, they're the only guy they've talked to is Andrelton Simmons, who Theo has talked about. And they're talking to Texas about Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Yeah, Evil Empire, my ass.
They're not even trying.
Position flexibility.
Trying to get these guys.
It's amazing. I love it.
No, but yeah, it's
yeah, but yeah, no, the Kevin Gossman signing, it's.
Do you want to talk about these rumors though? Because that's what I want to talk about right now. These Blue Jays rumors that have just been going crazy.
Mention Yimi Garcia super quickly, and then we'll get to the rumors. Yeah, because we haven't talked to him. So Yimi got a 2-year deal. I think it's $4 or $5 million a season. A 2-year, $11 million deal. So like 1 year's $5 million, the other one's $6 million. And then there's a weird vesting option for the 3rd year, where if he pitches like 60, he has like 60 appearances between the 2 seasons. Or no, it's like 110 appearances between the 2 seasons, or 60 appearances in the final season. The 3rd season vests. Essentially, if he's healthy and good, that's great because then you'll get another year out of him. That's essentially what all that weird contract language means for a guy that's had injury issues. So it's nice there's a little bit of insurance there, essentially. For a pitcher that pitches at the back end of the bullpen, throws hard, a lot of control, has a bit of a dinger issue, but has always been kind of consistently good.
We're good with fixing those guys, though.
Think about him kind of like a harder throwing Trevor Richards, who is going to get a lot of outs, and then every once in a while, like when it's bad, it's going to be a bunch of home runs. Like that's basically Yimi Garcia, because he's a guy he throws hard, but he has really good control and he's in the zone a lot. So if he misses middle and it's gone. But again, you can deal with that because of the one game that he loses you every once in a while. He's going to win you or keep you alive.
And he's not going to be like, it won't be like Chatwood last year when he's just seeing leverage innings. Like this will be your 5th best reliever probably. So it should be like he shouldn't be getting 8th,
a guy who's
inning,
in the same kind of mix.
What'd you say?
No, he should be in the same mix as like he should be in the same mix as like a Richards and Simber. Like, you know what I mean? Like those guys ended up in 7th, 8th, 9th, 7th, 8th inning roles, but they're all kind of 7th inning guys. Right? Like you would hopefully add some more heat to the back of the bullpen, unless you add a starter and Nate Pearson just apparently becomes a swing guy who pitches multiple high leverage innings and then starts when I don't know what they're going to do, but the fact that they're also looking for another starter, or maybe they want a 6-man rotation so that Ryu gets 6 days of rest and you get to baby Pearson and you get maybe the 6th starter is a guy that's had injuries. So it's interesting to me. It's really interesting that they're that they're still on starters.
I think
but
Pearson
I'm
could
open
be
to
a
it.
big trade candidate, though.
Oh,
I think
100%.
if there is a
That's
big
another thing.
Ramirez trade, he's going to be involved.
That's
could
the
be.
only trade, though. It would only be that.
It's possible. It is.
Like for Chapman, I wouldn't do it.
No.
That's
No,
way
because
too
then he'd
much.
probably be ridiculous for the A's.
Well, Chapman's he's not good enough for that, no matter what team.
Yeah, and again, I keep talking about left-handed bats, which I guess brings us to all of these rumors, which are wild. Theo, you go for it.
Yeah, so the first one, the Freddie Freeman one, which I joked before the season off broadcast or whatever. We were just talking.
Exactly.
I said, why don't we just bring in Matt Olson? Like, we can figure it
Yeah.
out. Who cares? What
Yeah,
position he
exactly. Fuck it. You kept joking around because you had him on your fantasy team. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think this made it maybe to one podcast, but in case it did, this was something we joked about, like in our group chat all the time. Was fuck it, just bring in Matt Olson, just hit all the dingers in the world. Who cares? And then this Freddie Freeman thing, this rumor breaks where some random guy has this thing. Like, I mean, the announcement was great with like the animated fire and shit all around it in Spanish. But
yeah, it was Carlos Baerga, the former player, who has broken things like this before. That's why it's so weird.
Yeah,
He's had some big misses, though. Didn't he say something about like Javi Baez to the Jays?
I think Morosi was saying Javi Baez. There was a bunch of people that were saying Javi Baez to the Jays at one point. Like, was it Jays candidate? But I think that was also more to do with the fact that he and Barrios are both married to sisters, like they're brother-in-laws, because they married girls that are sisters. So they're related and very like they're close friends. So that might have had part of the reason why everyone had the Jays is maybe they were in on Javi Baez because I don't see the fit Javi Baez on this team.
He could have been a good fit as a versatile infield piece, but
he doesn't get on base. He doesn't get on base.
He does other things. He's still useful.
He hits dingers and plays defense, but he's getting paid way too much money to me.
I hate giving long deals to guys like that.
Yeah. So the Freddie Freeman thing was hilarious. If it happens, fuck it, figure it out. But it's not. The chances of it happening, I think, are below 5%.
I've mentally put him and Ramirez on this roster at the same time.
Hey, fuck it. If you can make that happen, do it. I don't care. Make it work. Make it work. Figure it out. Figure it out, Shackins.
When he alternates to the DH spot, we can just have Freeman and Vladdy and Ramirez go through that spot.
Well, I'd be more worried about him going. Well, not worried myself. If I was a Braves fan, I'd be worried about the Dodgers. That's exactly a lot more realistic.
Should we be worried about the Yankees though?
Well, the Yankees have checked in on him, but it sounds like if anyone's actually going to spend the money, it's the Dodgers that would do something like that where they'd throw down.
Because this
which would be
not gone the way they planned it.
No, they're losing people. There's no word from Kershaw, who's a free agent. It's exactly the Dodgers are striking out. They haven't re-signed Chris Taylor. Apparently, this is another Jays rumor that the Jays are heavily in on Chris Taylor. They're also apparently at one point Morosi tweeted that they might be the front runner for Chris Bryant, which I'm in. Okay, I want a left-handed bat. I want Jose Ramirez. But if you get Chris Bryant, I mean, you can figure the rest out.
He's someone I wanted last offseason. If you watch that video, I was saying Chris Bryant, and that was off a bat.
You wanted him to trade for Chris Bryant, so
yes, I'm all about that. And we're talking about Chris Taylor. You just mentioned. I'm fine with him. It might be an overpay, but I don't want that to be the biggest move. I want a bigger positional
piece. But that would be it, though.
That's what I don't want. Yeah,
and you lose a pick too.
See, my issue is more I'd rather them get. I keep talking. I want balance. I want I would like some balance in the offense.
Well, Freeman does that. Freeman and Ramirez do that.
Well, Ramirez specifically because he doesn't strike out. He strikes out so little. I think he struck out. I think he walked at an 11% clip and struck out at a 12% clip. You need a guy like that, and the fact that he's a switch hitter, it's so valuable, and he's a great defender. It makes sense. Now, someone we talked about who's apparently having a really weak market, so much so that even the Rockies are thinking about bringing him back. Oh my God, would I be interested in Trevor Story? Again, right-handed, so it's not exactly what I want. But if Trevor Story wants to play third base, or Trevor Story wants to play shortstop, and you want to figure out how third base is going to work.
He has arm problems. His arm's kind of weak, though.
arm's fine. His arms, he's got
about his arm declining, not being very good.
Well, he had an elbow injury a couple of years ago, but I mean, he's still a Gold Glove.
He's also been throwing at altitude, Tony. So that do the math on that one.
Him at third base. I don't know if that's.
I think he'd be fine. I'd rather him at shortstop, considering he's the Gold Glove shortstop. But I don't think
he would be. He would be more expensive than Baez.
I don't think you want to be moving Bo around. No. I mean, on like a
maybe a shorter deal though.
I mean, on exactly on a 1 year deal, like to rebuild. That would be post lockout. That would be if that happened, right? It would be he doesn't sign a deal.
I think someone would be desperate enough.
The Yankees are gonna. If the Yankees miss Correa, they're gonna have Story. Like I don't see how they miss one of those guys at least.
Like if Baez got that contract, then Story will do.
He should. Yeah. God, he's done so much more than Javi Baez has. So yeah.
If it was a year ago,
he'd be setting records.
Yeah, exactly. 35 home runs, 27 stolen. Like it was just that was his last full season. Last year, even in the shortened season, he was good. Yeah, Chris Taylor would be interesting. Chris Bryant would be great, but you know what I mean?
Bryant does not have a pick attached. He can play third base. He can play outfield. He can play first base.
Well, Chris Bryant just means that Jose Ramirez is still alive because he could be in the outfield.
Yeah, it keeps the options open. That adds to his value.
Yeah, so I'm pretty interested there. Chris Taylor, same thing. I'm interested, but I want a left-handed bat. I'm interested, but
Chris Taylor also strikes out like 28% of the time.
He strikes out a lot. It's kind of something they already have. Like, yeah, I know he hits for a decent average, but again, it's more of what they have right-handed. He's not great against right-handed pitching.
This left-handed bat thing, I've seen a lot on Jay's Twitter today, especially. People just assume Kevin Biggio is going to be great next year. I don't want to assume that. I don't want to have that.
Ross Atkins seems to be talking him up a lot, and not like trade talk. And people don't seem to think it's trade talking him up. Like they're like he's a part of their future. So
there's a reason to think like last year because of the injuries he couldn't get fully going.
All the inconsistency.
Yeah, I just don't want to bank on we're too.
Well, no, he should. Right now to here's the thing: he should be hitting near the bottom of the order.
Exactly.
But he's a left-handed bat near the bottom of the order. That's why you need one up at the. That's why you need one up at the tippy top, and then hopefully one in the middle. That would be ideal. That's why I want Jose Ramirez and then like Michael Conforto or something like that, because then you have one up top, and then you have one in the middle, and then you have one at the bottom, and it's great.
And then it gives you flexibility to trade an outfielder. Like it's that there's
or Lourdes DHs. Right, and then he can play in the outfield sometimes, and he can play first base when you give Vladdy days off, and like that's it. You know, again, more flexibility. So that's kind of what I'm.
It feels like these options are running out, but there's still like so many things we should do, and we're probably going to do. And I want it to happen now because
with the looming lockout, it's going to suck because there's going to be no news, and it's going to sound terrible, and it's going to screech like baseball's never happening. But I think. God, they can't miss a season. You can't.
And if they're building momentum with Brian right now, like you don't want to lose that. Like you want to make sure that's
that's why we're kind of hoping someone signs. Anything else before we move on to the Leafs real quick before we go to Raptors with Andrew? Anything else?
Just baseball in general.
Well, the pitching market for us, I think there's still.
UC Kikuchi,
that's what we're really wanting. Yeah,
there's a lot of those guys.
It's those type of that's the tier they're looking for is like one more veteran guy who's going to compete with because like then you're going to have Pearson, obviously you're going to have Trent Thornton, you're going to have Anthony Kay, Thomas Hatch, like you're just going to kind of throw all those guys out there as spring training starters and be like, all right, who's really good and. Someone's going to win the fifth job and someone's going to be at the long end bullpen and then everyone else is going to AAA or going on waivers, right? Like that's kind of how I look at it. So unless it's a Kikuchi because he's getting too much money to be a guy you put on waivers.
Yeah, he's
just flat out, right? He might even be getting 2 years potentially. Like that might be something that would happen. Yeah, so it's interesting. We'll monitor because there's a chance something could happen.
I've got Twitter open. I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. On to the Leafs. God, Jack Campbell's good. Joseph Wall's been great. Like we said, It's been the winningest month in franchise history this November. They've been spectacular. They really have. Like Kosh has been out, and I know he's a peripheral piece, but he'd been playing really, really well, and they didn't miss a beat. Mrazek's coming back. He's going to be playing with the Marlies, it looks like, this week, working his way back, and it's the best case scenario because they finally have goaltending depth because Wool doesn't need waivers, so he can go play for the Marlies. Mrazek can come back up, and if someone gets hurt, God forbid, Jack Campbell, you actually have some depth now. You have a guy you trust. It's not Michael Hutchison. Kosh was skating, though, today, so it sounds like he could be back soon. That'd be great. And I was mentioning, I can't remember if I mentioned it off the hop in the intro or if it was just us talking before. It's really interesting seeing the team rally around Nick Ritchie. He doesn't have a goal, but they always seem to go out of their way. Like Sheldon Keefe is protected, have been throwing other guys under the bus. His teammates, you can hear them when Austin Matthews was mic'd up on the bench, like hyping him up for a screen he set. Jason Spezza talking about a screen he set that led to a goal on a power play. Simmons talking about the way that he plays and playing heavy and playing hard. Like, it's just everyone seems to be rallying around this guy who's just he's been pretty effective recently, even though he's been snake bitten with the goal, like not getting the goals or the points. It's just interesting. I don't know. It's an interesting thing
always
to
the
see.
Guys who get the locker room going though. Like
like it's
a grinder.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's kind of nice to see though. Like it's
we've
just
been missing that type of player a lot the last few years, especially, and it's nice to have. It feels different. I don't know. I know you've been nervous about this team, and I've been very concerned about getting invested. It just feels a little different though. Yeah,
like Michael Bunting's actually filling the Hyman role kind of nicely. I know Hyman's doing spectacular in Edmonton, but Bunting hasn't been bad. I like him. Like after he had this little cold streak, and got demoted to the fourth line. Like now he's back up on that first line, and it looks good.
The amount of Hyman tweets earlier in the year of people upset we didn't get him back, and it's quieted down. Same with the Marner stuff. Everything's kind of on the low right now, but they were very loud early.
And it's awesome how Ritchie has really fit in on that third line. And David Kampf, who like had one goal last year, and everyone was like, no, I guess he's a guy that exists and does CrossFit and has like a fucking 12-pack of abs and shit. Like who knows? Maybe he's a thing. He's been really effective, and Kosh has been great. And then you put Ritchie on that line, and he looks good. And then Kosh is out, but you put Simmons, Ritchie, and Kampf together, and they look good. Like it's just too many things are going well, and I've been hurt too many times before, and I don't trust this team. I've been hurt. Again. I've been so. It's so good. It's so good that I'm so worried. That's basically how tortured and how hurt I am. You know what I mean? That the fact that they're doing this well, Jack Campbell had like a 1.30 goals against and like a 960 save in this November that was historic for wins. He had the best month ever for a Leafs goalie. I think it was like 1958 since the actual names. Like I've seen all the stats. They've been up. Dangle's talked about them. Sportsnet's had them. They've been everywhere. TSN, everyone talks about them.
This streak includes a West Coast trip, which to say you take 6 of the 6 points, it never happens for us.
Yeah, like
for most teams.
You won 15-4 in the 3 games.
Michael Hutchison was in that first fucking Sharks game. It was atrocious. Atrocious. They lost badly. So badly. Oh, God. It's just, they look good. They look like a team, cohesive, and they're playing well, and they're playing the right way now. And it's...
the only problem, we just can't get Pittsburgh in the playoffs because that's just not, no matter who they have on their lineup, we can't beat them.
Ridiculous. No. But it's just that, I don't know. It's hard for me to go super in depth about the Leafs. They just look really like the power play's finally back. It looks dangerous again. Like now when they get power plays, you're like, okay, yeah, that's right. They have all of the skill. The second power play, though, seems to be doing all of the work, which is the best part. Jason's best fucking clapping shit bombs from the point, scoring goals like it's fucking 2007. It's amazing. Actually, I don't even know if Jason Spezza was in the league. He was probably in the league, but anyway, you know what I mean. It's just it's awesome. But as a Leaf fan, I'm just waiting for something terrible to happen because this is where we are now. This is where we live.
I mean, I've talked myself when you've mentioned how playoffs are different. We all know playoffs are different, but eventually, when you have a good enough team and you just have enough cracks at it, it's just going to happen one time. So,
well, yeah, and everyone thought the worst part about this is here's the thing. I'll be fully honest. Rational me, not Toronto sports fan me, who's also an Atlanta Falcons fan, who's a Toronto sports fan and an Atlanta Falcons fan. So it's just torture and pain and hurt and expecting bad things to happen. Rational me looks at this team and you're like, age-wise, this makes more sense. They're older now. They're 25, 26, right? Like, I'm talking about Matthews, Marner, Nylander. Like, they're more physically mature. Now they've also experienced these losses, right? You've put a more experienced group around them as well. They're learning they have to play a different way. You're starting to see them play a different way. Rational me looks at this and you just go, this is part of actual growth. Tortured Toronto sports fan me looks at this and goes, something horrible is lurking around the corner. Like that's the thing with the Toronto Maple Leafs, because rationally I look at them, and especially the way they're playing right now, and it's just like, yeah, this is it. This is what it's supposed to be.
It just has so many parallels to that Tampa team because they had the same problems. They couldn't win, and then eventually they got older, they got better. Did he freeze out again? I think he froze out, but what we're saying is that, there's part of you that's always going to have that doubt about the Toronto Maple Leafs. You're going to feel like it's going to be doom and gloom. It's not going to happen. But, and I was just saying when you were gone, like that, there's too many parallels with Tampa Bay that just puts in my head.
That's another thing. Kind of and team. Washington.
Yes.
And Washington, the reason I bring up Washington is Tampa Bay because of all the skill, right? And because it's recent. Washington because of the specific heartbreak with a team like the Penguins for Washington as the way that the Leafs continually lose the Bruins. Like that's why I bring up them. But no, Tampa's a great example as well.
And you were saying how like it's not just about bringing in these goons and tough guys to like. It's about Matthews and Martin like growing up and becoming like physically dominant player, not physically dominant, but physically responsible players where they're not getting pushed around in the playoffs. And I think it's becoming more apparent that they're going to be like that this year, and that's why I'm more excited and more optimistic than I've been in years past. I mean, I'm optimistic every year. I'm the biggest homer ever. I buy in every year.
Well, that's the thing. Like I'm your standard. I like when they have the horrible, soul-crushing loss to end the year. I swear off this team. Say I'll never watch them again. I hate them so much. This is finally the year where they've broken me, and I'll never do it again. And then things start happening, and then it's, the offseason, and then signings get made, and then maybe I'm happy, maybe I'm not happy. And then the preseason starts, and then I'm starting to look at line matchups, even though I hate them. And then I'm just all of a sudden back in watching these games.
Yeah. And I have 3 TVs on my wall now. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that, but I can't
avoid it all the time.
If I had one TV, it would just be Raptors every night or college football or something else. Now I have to watch Leafs, so I've been seeing the games. And I'm just like, this is different. But we were saying about, I was giving you an update. I don't know if you saw the chat. We have a private chat box, by the way.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I looked. He's coming on at half.
Yeah. It's halftime.
The Raptors are getting fucking pumped
I just want to hear Andrew was coming on soon, and he'll have his first half recap is what I want to hear.
They're down 11. It's 50-39. Without John Morant.
This team's not it, man.
Do you have any preliminary thoughts, like Anthony, before we bring on Andrew? Because he'll be probably going off on this team.
Bring him in. Like, bring him in as quickly as possible. Because the last time we brought Andrew in, we literally ended up talking pretty much exactly our talking points immediately over again.
That's a good point, yeah.
So let's get his ass in here because we might as well just get right into it with him.
He should be talking. But to go on that Valera news that we broke, apparently he's signing internationally with the team. So they probably asked to be released and will probably play. I don't know. Where's he from?
I don't know.
Dominican, maybe? I don't know. But probably one of those leagues. And I actually liked him. I don't know if you liked him, Anthony, but I was a big fan of him towards the end.
He had some really big moments with the team. Had some really big at bats. Charlie will always remember the bunt, the pinch bunt. In that game.
I'm looking at Twitter right now. Wilner's already upset because people are talking about the loss of Valera and how it's unreplaceable. He's like, "Are we actually talking about Beverly Valera?" Wilner's baseball is hot in the streets when Mike Wilner is talking and yelling at fans.
Mike Wilner has to be condescending to people online. That's what you know.
Yeah. I love how people are concerned about that, though. We're talking about Wilner right now, Steve. People are concerned about losing Valera, and he's like, "Are we actually talking about this right now? Is this actually a thing?"
Oh my God! Why are people concerned? Is he going to Korea or Japan?
I don't know where.
Because if he said internationally, that would be my assumption: is that he's going to Korea or Japan.
That's
those are the two.
What's happening with Steve? He just keeps lagging out. You know what's a good league to join too? A good league, the Korean League.
Yeah, you go to Korea, you put up big numbers, and you get a nice
55 home runs automatically.
Yeah, who?
Eric Thames. I know you're thinking about.
No, I'm not thinking about that. Chris Gittins, the Yankees release him. He's going out there now, and he's going to hit 1 million home runs, and he's going to get a multi-year deal. It's a genius idea, gaming the system.
Did Eric Thames go there before us or after?
No, after we traded him to Seattle, and then kind of flamed out, and then went, was an icon, and then he came back.
That's always the thing. So we're having some technical problems you haven't noticed. Steve's lagging out. Andrew is, who knows what he's
doing. Where is Andrew? I'm getting bored.
I need to hear some.
We've done everything. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
We have had no Jays news break. I've been refreshing Twitter more than I think I ever have because about this offseason too. It's been fun to have an offseason in baseball where it's been everything just happening. And I wish this could happen more, but I know for the next 2 months I'm just gonna be bored. But yeah. It felt like how hockey usually is for free agency signings.
Every other sport but baseball.
Honestly, It's only because of the impending lockout because there's a deadline. So you're seeing all of these deals, which it's awesome but terrible at the same time.
They have to make some sort of change where this kind of thing happens all the time because it's only more beneficial to everyone to get it done earlier.
Freddie Freeman got 5 games for biting.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
Brady Kachuk. You should you bite someone, you draw blood. You should really get more than 5 games because that's some pretty fucked up shit. But okay.
Did it draw blood?
Yeah, did you not see the video?
Is it like a high sticking when if it draws blood, you get an extra game? If you bite someone, it draws blood.
Dude, if you bite someone, you're a bitch. If you bite someone and draw blood, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Speaking of
what is wrong with you?
Speaking of biting people,
that's pretty strange.
Why did you have to lead into it with that?
Well, you're just talking about something that just reminded me of you.
No, why what?
Spinning wheel of death waiting for Andrew.
We're not going to get into it.
We're here to talk Raptors, Andrew. We're not here to futz around.
Yeah, okay.
You have a banner right there that says Raps Talk. So
we're here to talk
about it. I just say spinning wheel of death.
Steve, I think Steve's having a lot of technical issues today.
Yeah, well, I've never had internet issues until today, and I've had internet issues all day. And I actually reset my router right before this, and clearly it isn't helping. So I guess I'll be right back.
You look fine.
I'll leave and come back.
Yeah.
All right. But Andrew, we were talking about the Raptors first half today. I didn't really get to see much. I'm watching right now, but we were doing this. It hasn't been good. Ever since we last talked, it's looked even worse. What are your thoughts on the first half, and what are your thoughts on the team right now?
I think that this next man up idea is well and good when you have the people to do it with. And I feel like the worst thing that's going on right now is the fact that our guys are injured. And in all honesty, some of those guys are questionable starters in the first place. Like Trent and Birch, in my opinion, those guys should be starting. But they're questionable starters because sometimes you think maybe in this situation it's better if this guy starts. In my opinion, when you have that thought pattern with a starter, it's just not great for the outlook of the team because if this guy's a maybe starter, then what about our bench guy? What is he? And I feel like our guys are playing. I mean, they're playing in a way to shoot a lot of threes and try and run the field as best as they can. But we're not playing good enough defense to run the field, and they're piss poor at shooting right now.
That Boston game was embarrassing, considering Boston didn't give a fuck and the Raptors lost. Like Boston looked like they did not care. Like Tatum, something's wrong. Something is wrong. We talked about this before. Something's wrong in Boston with Marcus Smart calling him out and Tatum just basically being like, I know how to play basketball, and Tatum not looking like the dominant monster that he can be.
No, they're not good. They're not good at all.
No, and Brad Stevens being the GM and not the coach, I think it has actually had a massive impact on them. I think that's actually a big deal, is not having him around, and the way, like, I guess you have a guy that's trying to run a similar offense, but it doesn't feel like the same team. It really doesn't, with a lot of the same pieces. So,
well, I've been saying for a couple of years in private, not really public, that Tatum's trade demand is coming soon. It's going to happen. Just the trajectory of the team, and I don't know, could happen in the next year.
That would be hilarious. What Andrew was saying right as I pop back in, I think when everyone's healthy, essentially against big men, like real big men, like a Joel Embiid, like 7-footers, you're gonna have Kem Birch starting at center, and they'll go with like a big lineup. Maybe it's Gary Trent on the bench, maybe it's Scotty, and then you have Pascal at the 4. OG, if Scotty's in there, you'd have OG playing the 2 with Scotty playing the 3. And then Fred obviously is the point guard. And then I think you're going to see a lot more, though, just because there's not a lot of traditional bigs. I think when everyone's healthy, you're going to see a lot more of Pascal at the 5. And you're going to see Pascal, OG, Scotty at the 4, OG at the 3. They're interchangeable. Gary Trent Jr. and Fred. I think that's a lot of what you're going to see with a lot of Kem Birch minutes. I think you're going to lose a lot of precious minutes really fast when everybody's healthy. I don't think there's a lot. I also don't think there's a lot of Boucher minutes, and I don't think there's a ton of Yuta minutes when everyone's healthy. I think Birch is going to eat up a ton of that. The issue is Kem Birch never being healthy.
Did you guys realize what happened these last 2 games? Something big.
No.
Bonga is getting all of Boucher's minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. You were saying how Boucher's in the doghouse.
Yeah, Boucher's in the doghouse big time. He got a DMP yesterday. Not yesterday,
Yeah,
last game.
Boston, yeah.
Yeah. He got and the thing with Chris Boucher is 28. This is the last year of his deal.
Mm-hmm.
And with Scotty and Yuta signed to a 2-year deal. So this is the first year of that 2-year deal that Yuta. Actually, I think Yuta got that 2-year deal when his deal actualized last. The NBA contract rules are weird, but you have another guy who's in that kind of role, that stretch 4, who plays defense.
He's more mobile too.
And Bonga's 21, and they seem to really like him, and he's super athletic. I said realistically, when everyone's healthy, like I get why Champagny, Johnson, and Bonga are in games, but like they just need to be with the 905.
Yeah,
this team
they
needs
were
to
with
be
the
healthy
905 most of the time.
Yeah, no, but it's because they're not healthy. I get it, but like this team needs to start getting guys back, right? Because it's getting. I thought this team could be really good when you saw them come right off the hop with how good Scotty looked. I'm like, wow, man, when Pascal comes back with the way OG was playing, it's like this team's going to be really hard to stop. And then like Pascal comes back, OG gets hurt. And then Gary Trent Jr. gets hurt. And then Kem Birch has been super great at just doing what he's doing in limited minutes coming back from COVID. And now there's this knee swelling thing that doesn't seem to get better. Right? They just keep having issues. And guys who are supposed to be more projects like Precious have to keep playing all of these minutes. And I keep watching him not be able to catch the ball or make layups or dunks. He's been better. He's been better of late. But like there's still this frustrating part of him where you're just like, I see all the potential, but you shouldn't be playing right now. There should be a more established.
He was always going to get minutes though this year.
Yeah, but he was never supposed to get like heavy. Like think about he's been starting.
Yeah,
Boucher was hurt. Siakam was hurt. Yuta was hurt. Think about that. That's what got him into the starting lineup.
Yeah,
all those guys being hurt.
I figured he'd get more minutes than Boucher, though, kind of just because of he's the younger guy that they're going to try out. Boucher.
Well, I figured they work him in, but because Boucher shoots the three better, I think he had kind of a very specific role. And the fact that Boucher hasn't been. Well, that's the thing. He hasn't played. He hasn't done what he's usually done, where like when he's missing threes, he's still playing a whole ton of defense and rebounding. He hasn't really done that. Like you've seen some blocks, but you haven't seen like any rebounding really.
No,
that's I think been the biggest.
On the perimeter the whole time,
and it's just he's chucking shots. He's shooting. He's doing the whole like shooters got to shoot, get myself hot thing, and he's missing. He's bricking a lot and ending possessions.
Yeah.
So like, there's a reason Nurse is pissed at him. You know what I mean? Like it isn't. It's a visible reason as to why he's not getting a ton of minutes.
He's right. Yeah. It's no question from me.
I just think it's really unfortunate because yes, he makes the wrong decisions and all that and whatnot, but like at least
got so much talent.
Yeah, but like at least people look out for the three. At least people stick with him. Bonga's out there and his man's leaving him.
Yeah, because he's such a project still.
Yeah,
he's not established enough to get those. He shouldn't be getting those minutes. I get that Nick Nurse is sending a message, but he really shouldn't be getting those minutes because he can't carry them because when Boucher is not playing, it's actually hurting. It's hurting more. I know he has stupid shots, exactly like you're saying. I know he makes some stupid decisions sometimes, but it hurts more for the rest of the team when you don't have an actual threat there. When you have a guy that they're just going to completely sag off. It makes it so much harder on the other four guys. And
it hurts even more when our shooters, except for Fred, can't hit a three.
And everyone's gone through it this year where it seems like one guy is the only one that can shoot and no one else on the team can. Like it's been such a terrible, they've had everything go wrong, basically, you could possibly have go wrong.
Yeah, you miss your top, everyone in your starting five missed a significant amount of games. Like you're not going to have a good record.
Exactly. They played together. Like there's been actually, I think Ken Birch was hurt, and that's why Pascal was starting at the five. You know, like the team hasn't actually been healthy altogether at all this year.
No, because that's the thing though. When the team was healthy for those like 3 games or so, Pascal started because I guess Gary was playing really well, and they didn't want to push him out of the starting lineup. But in my opinion, I think Gary should run with the bench. Personally.
Yeah. Well, make him the main option on the bench.
Yeah, because they need it. They need it. Like, unless Delano comes out and he sees an open lane, they have nothing else.
Well, essentially what you should do is basically, again, it requires Ken Birch being healthy. Because he's the starting 5, and then you pull him out early. You put Gary Trent in early because you basically make him the 6th man, where he still plays 28 to 30 some odd minutes. And he's playing in the 4th quarter. But you start somebody like I see exactly what you mean because it would make a ton more sense, right? Yeah. He can get his own shot. He can make his own offense completely by himself. You've seen it in the starting unit, and against backup players, he'd be even better at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely understand, and it would spread the scoring so much better, and it would allow you to actually take Fred off the court. Because then you could put in Malachi. Now that I guess we should mention Goran Dragic isn't with the team anymore.
Yeah,
personal issue. If there is something going on, like I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
It seems like veteran player not getting the minutes he was supposed to. That wasn't like the team wanted to trade him. He wanted to be traded. It didn't happen. The Mavericks are waiting for a buyout. Right? Like there's really no place for him. And Malachi Flynn should be getting more minutes. And you know what? He lost his spot to Delano, but every time he's been in the game, he's playing with a bunch of energy, and it's like, okay. I'd at least like to see
hard sometimes.
Yes. But I think that comes from not playing ever and only well, that's the thing. Every time he gets in his 3 minutes, he's trying to get his, right? And it's if he got more playing time, maybe it'd be a little different. I'd actually be interested in a backcourt of him and Gary, where Gary's essentially like the shooter who's going to take it and like go get his, and then Malachi is going to be more of like a pick and pop, pick and roll guy with one of the other bigs that's coming off the bench or with starters when Fred actually needs some time off, so that Fred's not playing 40 minutes a night.
Yeah, Yeah, and Nick Nurse keeps saying, "Oh, Fred can handle it. Fred can handle it," but it's stressful. Like being the guy that has to like run all those minutes, especially since Pascal runs into foul trouble so often these days.
Yeah. Well, also maybe call the Knicks and ask Thibodeau what happens when you play guys that many minutes.
Oh, I watched so many of those Bulls games back in the day. I was a Bulls I watched every Bulls game.
Derrick Rose was one of the most electric. Derrick Rose is one of the most electric players I've ever watched in my life. Prime really Derrick Rose before the knee injuries. Yeah. One thing, I know this is completely off topic and it's Knicks related. Derrick Rose has made moves this season watching the Knicks where you see some of that explosiveness that it's nothing like when he was 23 and an MVP candidate and won an MVP and was just the most ridiculous athletic thing I've ever seen. Like basically John Morant just shorter. Like for people that are too young to know what I'm talking about.
Is he shorter?
Rose is like, I want to say he's like 6'1", 6'2", where Ja feels like he's big. Maybe it's because Ja's lanky, but D Rose feels like he's like 6'1", 6'2".
Ja's like 6'4".
I'm actually Googling this right now just to make sure. He is 1.88 meters. That doesn't help me. Fucking Wikipedia. No.
That's 6'3".
Oh, he is 6'3". Okay, I felt he was big. Oh no, it says 6'2". Here we go. 6'2". So that's what I said. I said the tallest end. I said he was 6'2". Whereas Ja feels like he's 6'3", 6'4". Yeah. But okay, but there's actually been moments where he has this like really that fast twitch where you see him stop, start, and lose a defender like right under the bucket for that finger roll where you're like,
second half's on right now.
Yeah.
Are you watching it, Andrew, right now?
I have it on.
I am watching it.
It's okay. Do we want to get right to that now where it's just like how embarrassing that is? Or do we want to talk about Scotty hitting them threes against Boston?
No. They can't grab rebounds. Why?
No.
Why?
Scotty's the only one that can. Have you seen? Scotty's the only one that can rebound.
Yeah. And it just reminded me that last year on the team, Siakam led the team in rebounds with his like 8 or 7 rebounds a game.
Like 7.9 or 8.2.
And then next behind him was Lowry. And so
this year I'll almost guarantee you it's Fred. I'll almost bet it's Fred. Actually, maybe
OG would be,
or Precious. Yeah. Well, see, that's the problem when OG's not like. When this team is healthy, you have a bunch of freaks that can do different things.
Yeah.
Right. Like Scotty can grab rebounds, OG can grab rebounds, and Pascal can grab rebounds, and like one of them's going to be on a. They're all like one of them's going to be a mismatch on somebody, right? When they're all healthy. And then Fred grabs those long ones. He's really good at like the Lowry rebounds, right? Mm-hmm. The off the front rim flies right out. Like he's really good at picking those up. So, but yeah, God, this game's just been ugly because John Morant's not playing.
With 4 fouls right now. I guess they don't really have a chance.
They have to. What the fuck else are they gonna do?
I don't know.
Fred's just gonna turn into like Fred's just gonna have to turn into Derrick Rose in his prime all of a sudden?
I mean, that'd be nice.
Fred's awesome.
Man,
Scotty's just gonna be on one like he was against Boston, like doing the OG fucking dribble fadeaway threes.
Give Boucher some minutes.
No.
I don't know how Boucher is gonna do if he has to go in with Steven Adams in the paint.
We'll make him look bad. That'll wake him up.
He needs to be brought down a peg.
It's funny, yeah. Like I'm basically now we're onto the Raptors portion, and like we've missed halftime, and I'm into the game. I'm like watching the game. So this is the hard part about having games on during the podcast.
But this is why we got to do watch-alongs, where it's just based on watching the game, and all we have to do is watch the game, and you watch with us. But when we do the podcast,
we can pivot to that right now. Why not?
Raptors watch-along.
Podcast this thing out to our. I don't know how many listeners we have on podcast, but
yeah.
So I don't know how good that would sound a day later.
No, it sounded terrible. For people listening to us, do like a watch along.
I have another thing, Andrew, because
what is Precious doing with that weird floater?
Andrew, I want to talk to you about this because every year I see you on Raptors Twitter. I see your tweets. You're very passionate about this tanking nonsense. Would you ever support the Raptors? Like if this season goes tits up and we're sitting there, not looking like we're going to contend for a playoff spot, would you be okay?
With tanking?
Yeah. Are you
Never.
going to pivot your opinion? Never.
Well, they tanked
No.
last year.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Here's the thing. I'm with Andrew this year. I'm with tanking usually. But this year, the way the team is set up, you have to see the starting five together to see if this is actually something you want to keep together. You got to see Pascal and Fred to see if they can kind of carry a team with OG and Gary Trent. You have to see if these pieces all actually fit together. With Scott, right? You can't really tank. Like once they get healthy, you kind of have to let them go on a run to see if it's worth keeping this together and being like, no, this is the core. This team's good. Keep this together. Build around this. Like this is actually important that if these injuries in the season actually does get away from them, it's important that once they get healthy, you keep them together and let them really go for it. If you traded Chris Boucher because he's not coming back, that's different. You know what I mean? If you're trading some of those pieces around the edges, I don't care. It's more like the main core guys. You need to see if they work together and if they're going to be something. Yeah, we're all watching this now. As you can tell, the Raptors are kind of making a comeback. Scotty Barnes hit a 3 at the top of the key.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. I really feel like, again, they need to have enough time together to see if they can figure things out. But secondly, I'm just against tanking because I don't think it helps anything. The only time tanking is useful is if you have an entire team that you guys don't know what to do with because you have
last year's Raptors team, it made sense. You knew Kyle was gone. There was a whole bunch of injuries. You were stuck in Tampa. You weren't actually in Toronto. Like it was the perfect situation because you weren't even in front of your own fans. You know what I mean? Like you weren't putting your own fans through the trash of like benching good players and you know what I mean? Pascal got hurt. Like the whole team basically fell apart. And in the COVID year where no one was at home, it was basically like, essentially it all felt like everyone gave them a pass because we're like, yo, they're packing it in and we all kind of understand. So it's fine. Like last year was the situation, like the perfect situation where you kind of just did it because it makes sense. Because that's what happened with the team. Everything had basically just fallen apart and everyone got it. Right?
Yeah, but also it's all these things that the general managers come up with, like tanking, for example. They're good in retrospect, but again, at that time when everything was going on, I was still in the camp with we shouldn't be doing this because it just we have guys that we're trying to say, okay, the team is going to be yours now. Just try and make sure you guys can win games. And when I don't know, I guess it made sense to keep Lowry out of games because we didn't want him getting injured. Obviously,
they were trying to trade him, and then once they knew he was leaving, it was like, well, why are we going to win these games at the end of the year to fuck up our draft position? And it ended up leaving Scotty Barnes.
Yeah,
right. Like it worked out really well. And now normally I am a tanking guy for that reason of go get the higher draft pick, not like prolonged tanking, like not the process because has that worked? Right.
Ben Simmons is still waiting.
Look what's happening in Oklahoma City. Look what's happening in Oklahoma City.
14 picks, is
it? In progress. We don't know.
Yeah, 14 picks. And what's going to happen? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Lou Dort aren't going to be there by the time they the next wave of guys. It's just it's ridiculous.
Well, Dort's still young enough. Dort is still young. Yeah, it shows
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but you think both of them are going to want to be there, winning 20 games? That eventually gets to a point where guys, and it's the NBA, it's the league where guys can leave immediately after signing a contract.
Yeah, bring him to Toronto. Tell Masai to go bring this guy here.
Remember his draft year? How Masai was trying to trade all of the things to get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander specifically. Yeah, he wanted him badly. Awesome. He wanted him badly. He was coming out of Kentucky. He just signed his extension, so this has to be Shai's 4th or 5th season.
Was he on that Kentucky team that just didn't make March Madness?
Yes, I think so. But he was they made March Madness. He was really good. I don't think he had a great season, but he had a great tournament.
Is that the OG year, or am I mistaking that?
Might have been the OG year. I think they were the same draft year, actually.
Maybe a year apart. I don't know.
I honestly can't remember.
Maybe it was the Pirtle year.
I don't think they had that high of a pick.
No.
They had the 9th overall pick that year.
Well, I mean when they had Pirtle, but I mean
No,
Oh,
that,
yeah,
was the
true.
Jamal,
It
that
might-
was the Jamal Murray year, though. Here,
the research.
I should have. Shea
How the technology.
Gilgeous-Alexander.
But yeah, we're not.
Run here,
They're obviously
though?
not. They're obviously not trying to tank this year. It's just a matter if they're not healthy, then it's like why bother?
He was an 11th overall pick in 2018 draft.
Oh, come. Like,
It was the 2018 draft. That was the Trae Young, Luka Doncic year. So that was the year that the Raptors. I'm trying to find the Raptors fucking pick.
Trae Young. Luka
Oh, they
Doncic.
didn't have a pick. Their first round
Yeah.
pick went to.
Brooklyn.
Oh, they were
Yeah.
no. He was trying to trade into the draft. He was trying to trade something to get a first round pick. That was
Yeah.
Masai was going nuts trying to because he wanted Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And it just didn't happen clearly because Shea was quite fucking good. Or is quite fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh man, they're making a nice little comeback here. Yeah, is there anything else we really want to get to? Like dig into before we kind of wrap it up? I mean, it's been frustrating, but there's so many fucking injuries. That's kind of the biggest thing. Where it's like, Scotty's doing things that are really encouraging. Pascal's working his way back in, right? Like he's looked good. Fred looks amazing. OG before he was hurt looked really good. Gary Trent Jr. before he got hurt looked really good. It's just I want to see them all together. I want them all on the floor. And again, I don't think this is a year you can tank because I think it's a massive evaluation year. I think it's a crucial year to see what these pieces can do together. So I don't think this is a tank year, even if the season starts to get away from them.
But we'll see when if they're healthy, when they're healthy.
That's exactly the good thing. Like knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood right now. The good thing is none of these have been major injuries. They've all been little like. You know what I mean?
Well, Kem's is a little bit weird. Why does it keep coming back like that?
Because I think the issue is Kem Burke has literally never been healthy ever.
Oh,
which is part of
tall
kind
guy.
of the
Tall
reason
people are
that
never
this
healthy.
is. You know what I mean?
No.
I think it's not that he wasn't effective in Orlando. I think that it was that he just kept getting hurt, so they stopped relying on him, and they were trying to replace him, and then they just drafted Mo Bamba. And it was like, we have Vucevic, Mo Bamba. Yeah, exactly. Like, you're our third center, and you're hurt all the time.
Yeah.
So I love Kem Burch for what he brings, and what he brings is necessary for this Raptors team. It's just they got to figure this out with him, man. Especially considering they got him on a 3-year deal, right? Like it's basically $7 million a season. Actually, I think it's $10 million a season, and like the third year is an option. But anyways, it's a lot of money for a reserve big man who's not playing a lot of minutes, who's actually like provides something that this team genuinely doesn't have in terms of a post present defensively. And he's not someone you think of offensively, but he can. I know this sounds really stupid and really basic, but he can catch the ball. So he allows the pick and roll to be dangerous again, and allows Fred to get guys in the pick. Like when there are centers that are bad at defending it, Kem can take advantage of that. You're not going to watch Precious miss alley-oops and bunnies. Kem Burch is going to dunk that shit home, and that's huge.
And he has a better floater. He has a better touch. He just does.
I think that's because Kem Burch is 29. Like he's been in he's a pro, right? Like he played in Europe, he's played in the NBA, he's played in the G League. He's been able to refine his game. So all those little touch things, he's just better at than someone like Precious, right? Like Precious has more potential. Like he has definitely more tools, but Kem Burch I want right now, and I want Kem Burch playing a bunch of minutes in the post, doing the things that Kem Burch does, getting rebounds and playing defense. So he needs to get healthy.
Getting back to that though, to what we were talking about last week, even if the Raptors are healthy, do you still think we don't need a 7-footer?
No,
pretty much, because well, what are you doing? You're going against one guy with that 7-footer. It's against Joel Embiid. And who's going to stop Joel Embiid? Like unless you're going to get Marcus All back out of Spain.
Yeah, but like in matchups with like, I guess you only play the Jazz twice a year, but like Cleveland, for example, they're a large team.
They're a tall team, but look at Evan Mobley. I know. Jarrett. What the hell is it? The center, the one they
Jackson. Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. They gave $100 million to. I know he's physical, but it's just like a guy like OG can body him. A guy like Scotty can body those guys. Evan Mobley specifically can get bodied by one of those guys. I love Evan. I put it this way: I love Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, I would take over Scott. Like Evan Mobley is
Cleveland's
special.
gonna ruin.
Evan Mobley is probably because they look what they do. They ruin everybody.
Excellent.
I don't know. I think they have a good thing going.
Mobley's special. Like he really is special. But Yuta buckets. I love it. But it's just like they can body guys like that. The only guy that's an issue is someone like Joel Embiid. And to be honest, at that point, who are you talking about? Like, what 7-foot are you getting that can actually do something there?
In all honesty, I don't really mind Joel that much because I think he's a horrible passer out of the double team, in my opinion.
He is.
But I guess you only play Jokic twice a year, and it's not really that much of a deal.
And again, Jokic is you can kind of keep Jokic like he's an MVP, so Jokic is going to get his. But again, like you have guys that are physical enough to keep him. Again, though, he can hit up a whole bunch of threes. So if you keep him out of the paint, he can still hurt you. That's why he's an MVP.
Yeah.
Right? But you have guys that can body him. Well, here's the thing. I know you bring up Rudy Gobert a lot. Rudy Gobert does a thing. He gets paid a lot of money to be kind of obsolete.
Yeah, but we're talking about having a 7-footer, and if he can't do anything, then like, what's the point of even trying?
That's what I mean. Like it's like the guys. Like, there's such a limited amount of guys that you need a 7-footer for, and then the quality of 7-footer you would need to deal with that type of guy. It's just such a hard thing to find. You know what I mean?
That's why I was just hoping.
Not.
Man, I was just hoping the Raptors would pick up somebody that was a center, but in the draft we didn't pick up single center. And anyway, sorry.
I think they were interested in Allen, right?
They were. It sounded like they wanted Jared Allen.
Yeah, he would.
See, here's the thing, Andrew. That's a guy that they would like. If you're gonna get a center, like that's kind of the guy that you get. A guy that's a little smaller, but is basically just on all defense. He's gonna shoot 70%. Like, it's Rudy Gobert, but it's a little bit more athletic. That can, like, he's not gonna be able to actually guard a guard. Like if he gets switched on to one. But someone like Jared Allen is so ridiculously long that it is kind of hard to get to the hoop past him. Yeah. Like if you try to cross him out, he's basically just going to stand there and like he's so long that he can still kind of get out. But again, it's not ideal. You don't want him on a guard, but he can kind of survive. And that's what he's proven this year is that he can kind of survive. And Evan Mobley's a freak with way too much mobility. So that's why he's fine.
I think the afro just distracts people.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's like you're shooting and it's just like, what's that thing in the way?
I like Jared Allen, but that's the thing with the Raps and getting a 7-footer. You see Jonas with all the threes?
7 for 7, and he didn't. Oh, man, they went away from him in the second half. What?
39 points though for Jonas. What a game! Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. Is there anything other than the 7-footer? I'm trying to think.
Malachi's getting some minutes now, thankfully.
No, but that's what I mean. And he's looking good in the few minutes that he's getting. I'm happy about it. Yuta's basically taking Boucher's role.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. Bonga is taking Boucher's role.
Yeah, but that shouldn't
be the case.
I want to see him go play in the 905.
Yeah. Like he was dropping. Honestly, watching these guys, these fringe NBA players play in the G League, it's nasty. It's honestly nasty.
Well, they crush. Like Bonga in the G League is really like. It's funny. It's like when Malachi went down there last year. It's like he barely plays. He's not doing anything with the Raptors, and he goes down to the 905 and he gets like 27 and 7.
Yeah.
Right. Like and again. Chris Boucher was the G League MVP. Pascal Siakam was the G League MVP. I keep forgetting his name. Was it Lorenzo Brown? I think it was Lorenzo Brown. He was another guy they had that was G League MVP.
Yeah.
There's a random guard that they had.
Yeah.
Right? Like they have a bunch of those guys all the time in the 905. Like they always seem to find a guy. And Renzo Brown was the only one that didn't actually end up being a Raptor.
Mm.
So, and Fred was ridiculous down there too. Like you see those guys on the fringes of the roster. Like that's why I would like to see Malachi go down. Or to be honest, the funny thing is, if you sent Precious down there, he'd get a triple-double every night.
I wish.
Yeah.
Precious would be a problem in the G League.
Well, he's
You just don't have enough size.
No, he
You
should.
just don't have enough.
No. Like they have physicality, but they don't when you miss OG and Kem Birch, when you miss both of them, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because the next most physical guy is Scotty, and he's 20 years old, right? Like, God bless him. He is amazing, but
Yeah.
oh, baby. Look
Yeah.
at Yuta just out here. Pascal with the steal, Yuta with the follow. I guess though we can wrap this up.
One thing before we're done here.
Yep.
I have to say, Siakam, he needs to be more aggressive, and
Yes.
I don't know what's this thing going on with him and wanting to like be so like, I don't know, so unselfish. You're the best offensive player on the team. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Be
Be
selfish.
selfish with what you have. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a max contract. He's talked about like not feeling like they made him the guy. Dude, you're the guy. Take the ball and go to the hoop. You're the fucking guy.
Yeah, I don't know
Because
where
you
he's
are
at
this
that
team's
point.
guy. You're the 1A on this team. Even when everyone's back, you are the 1A. You are the first option. So exactly, he needs to start going to the hoop more. And here's the thing. I'm not saying that because of like, oh, Pascal, because of the money he's making, he's not good enough. No, he's making the money he's making. And to be honest, I mean, look at around the NBA. There are a lot of guys making a lot more money that do a lot less. Pascal's not a bad contract in any way, shape, or form. He's quite good. Quite good. He plays defense. Like,
didn't want to trade him.
Exactly. Like there's
He
reasons.
knows he's a valuable asset.
Yeah. So he's an important part of this team. And I bring that up because I know Raptors fans get really toxic around Pascal. Is it like, he's not what we think he is and all that other stuff. And it's like, he's still
Legends
fine.
coming in the game.
Chris Boucher. Oh baby, he's getting some minutes.
Slim duck.
The benching is over for the slim duck.
They had
Anyways, I guess we'll wrap this up so we can get into this actual game. Actually, we're probably going to watch this. Well, not probably. We're definitely going to watch this after.
Yeah.
But this has been Toronto on Tilt. I'm Steve Artabello. Oh, yep.
Another thing, like the video, subscribe to the video. We will be having more stuff, live watch alongs. I know most people, me and Steve are going to do some Manchester United stuff. For any EPL fans, we'll try to do some more of that Saturday morning stuff. If you're up, watch the game, watch it with us. And we'll try to get more watch along stuff going on. But the podcast,
we'll do some Raptors.
Probably going to be a regular thing. So
Tuesday nights at 8 are going to be this podcast. Exactly. Tuesday nights at 8 are going to be this podcast. We're going to go live like we did with the Gossman thing when big stuff happens in Toronto sports, Leafs, Raptors, Blue Jays, just any of the stuff, Manchester United, Canada soccer. There's just the stuff that we care about
We
want to talk about.
Forgot about the Argos in the biggest game in sports.
If you have a spare 20 in your pocket
on Sunday,
you can see the Argos in an
Eastern
final.
Conference Championship. Yeah.
What people are saying is like the second place game because the West is so much better, but I don't think so. I think pinball.
You know what's funny? Every time the Argos are bad and make a Grey Cup, they win. So watch that happen.
Exactly. No one ever expects it.
Well, they were first.
But when they get that far, they just win. They never lose.
That's exactly. It's amazing. I guess exactly. We'll talk about Grey Cup things allegedly, maybe. But we will do more watch alongs. We'll watch Leaf games. We'll watch Raptors games. Me and Theo are going to watch United games. We're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. Jays games, obviously, once that starts happening.
I'm so pissed we had no news break today.
I know we thought Chris Taylor or Chris something was going to happen today, and it was going to be awesome. But yeah, that's it. We are Toronto on Tilt. I'm Steve Artabello with Anthony Harris, Theo Giordano, and Andrew Clark with a C with an E. Wow, this is getting very convoluted. And Clark, Steve Artabello, Anthony Harris, Theo Giordano. We're Toronto on Tilt. You can find our website, torontoontilt.com. You can find our Twitter at Toronto Untilt. You can find us on Twitch, where this is live, Toronto Untilt. You can find our YouTube, where this is also live and will be recorded and live there, and you can watch it back later. Where you can like, comment, and subscribe as well. It's also Toronto Untilt. And the audio where this one will be posted anywhere that you listen to podcasts. That's Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Apple, Anchor, Breaker, Bleaker, all of the things. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends. The Jays are making big moves. The Leafs are doing historic things. The Raptors are coming back. Oh, my God, Chris Boucher with the dunk. Things are happening. Yeah, and the Argos. That's another thing.
Yep.